Hey folks, thanks for joining us. I'm here with Ruth with the University of Western Australia. She's going to talk all about Perth. Ruth, take it away. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Logan. Hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to hear a little bit about Destination Perth and why the West Coast is the best coast. So as you would imagine, I'm from Western Australia. So I'm sitting here in Perth right now. It's just gone 7 a.m. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about what your study opportunities might be where we are, which is a really beautiful part of the world. You can see that first slide here. This is a picture of the Perth city skyline. We're in a really beautiful location, just right on the edge of the Indian Ocean, with a lot of water and rivers around us as well. We're a city of about 2.2 million people, so a fourth largest city in Australia, and lots of opportunities for students, which I'll go through in a moment. So first of all, you might not even be considering Australia, let alone Western Australia, for a study destination. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about why students do choose Australia. First of all, it is the third most popular international student destination. So we might be a smallish country of 24.5 million people, but we are actually world leaders in education. Australia is soon expected to take over the UK as the second world's most popular study destination behind the US. We also have 7 of the best student cities in the world located in Australia, which is pretty amazing. So this was down to a recent QS Best Student Cities survey. And all of our major cities are here, obviously including Perth and some more familiar cities you might have heard of like Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, etc. We have 7 of the world's top 100 universities in Australia, and that includes our university, the University of Western Australia. So our universities can be quite young compared to other universities like, the UK's Oxford or the US's Harvard, for example, but they are up there with the best. We're also home to nearly 700,000 international students, which is a pretty big number. And it means that the students are getting a really high quality of education, really good support for services and things like that. And it's a really fantastic lifestyle, I think, that are making so many students choose Australia. Working while you're studying is definitely allowed, and you can work up to 20 hours a week or 40 hours a fortnight whilst you're studying. And we have some really great post-study work visa options. So actually in Western Australia, if you, for example, do a 2-year master's course, you can stay back for up to 6 years and work after you've completed your study. So really great for those that want to experience the work side of things as well. Now, where we're located, obviously, we're on the west coast of Australia, which is the area marked out in blue there. It's the largest state. So as you can see, it's pretty much taking up 1/3 of the entirety of Australia. So that's pretty big for Western Australia. We have a pretty nice climate, I have to say, having moved here from England about 10 years ago. I never get sick of the blue skies and the warm weather. So even in the winter time, the average degree during the day is about 17 or 18 Celsius, which is very warm, plus that is, not minus. And in the summer, it's up to around 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, but with some really beautiful beaches to help you cool off. We have one of the better costs of living in Australia. So we are the most affordable capital city. It's a bit cheaper to live on the West Coast than, say, Sydney or Melbourne, and that's for things like going out, renting, transport, etc. And combined with that, our average annual incomes are about 8% above the national average. So a really nice balance of affordability and high wages. If you're thinking of coming over with your family, we offer free schooling for children of international students right up until the age of 17 or 18 years old when they complete secondary school. And we are one of the most livable cities. So in terms of things like air quality, green spaces, cleanliness, infrastructure, transport, it's a very, very nice and easy place to live. We're well known to be safe, friendly, and welcoming. These are just a few snaps of our city, and I'll show you a few more in a minute. But 37% of our population, which is more than a third of our population in Perth, were actually born overseas, myself included. And we have over 170 different languages spoken in our city, with 59,000 international students. So it really is a truly multicultural place to stay and live and study. And where you won't feel left out, you'll certainly be surrounded by many different cultures and learn about many different ways of life. I'm sure very similar to students who are currently living in Canada as well. This is a few areas around Perth and Western Australia that you can have a look at exploring. So we have Fremantle, which is a port city about 20 minutes from Perth. Really vibrant, really a great place for nightlife, cafes, restaurants, festivals, etc. Right on the beach there, so you can go swimming. Northbridge is our cultural hub, so that's got all of our museums, art galleries, etc. In the summer, it's got a giant outdoor cinema where you can go and watch movies and sit on beanbags. This is right in the heart of the city, so you'll definitely be familiar with Northbridge if you are studying in Perth. Rottnest Island is our little sort of secret getaway, I guess. It's 30 minutes from the city. It's where all the Perth locals go to soak up some sunshine, swim in probably the most glorious beaches you've ever seen, snorkeling, diving, boating. There's no cars allowed, so that makes it really nice. You just walk or cycle or scoot. And we are home here to these little animals, which you can see here, called a quokka. Quokkas are super cute, as you can see. They're the only place in the world that you can get them is in Rottnest Island, where they just roam free. And it's a very famous thing to come and get a quokka selfie, like you can see Roger Federer, Chris Hemsworth, and Matt Damon have all decided to do. It's really just like a paradise. Such a lovely getaway so close to our city. We've also got Kings Park, which is larger than Manhattan Central Park and overlooks the city. It's a really beautiful place to watch the sunrise or go for an after study barbecue with some friends. Cottesloe Beach is just 10 minutes from UWA, so we kind of call it UWA Beach. It's full of UWA students playing beach volleyball and all sorts on a sort of Friday evening or after classes. And we also have the Swan Valley, less than half an hour from Perth, which is a really well-known, well-recognised wine and food region. Travelling a bit further afield, so if you've got some time during semester break or you want to jump in a car and do a road trip with some friends, you can go up north and see the Pinnacles, which is these awesome sort of sci-fi rocky outcrops that appear out in the desert. And if you watch them under the Milky Way at night, it's just absolutely beautiful and stunning. We have lots of national parks up north, including Karajini, with beautiful gorges and waterfalls and swimming spots, and loads of beautiful beaches like Margaret River, you might know is a well-known wine region, but also a really well-known surf region. So anyone that wants to surf, you can travel for a couple of hours down south and go to places like Margaret River and let your Instagram explode with all of the cool snaps that you will get. You can swim with the reef sharks up in the north in Ningaloo. Ningaloo Reef is kind of like a more well-preserved, smaller Great Barrier Reef, and the sea life is just wonderful up there, and it's one of the only places you can swim with these giant whale sharks, which is pretty amazing. Or ride on the beach at sunset on a camel up in Broome, or walk through the top of treetops on our Treetop Valley Walk. So much to do. Kangaroos on beautiful white squeaky beaches, pink salt lakes, the longest pier or jetty in the Southern Hemisphere, which has got an underwater observatory. This is just a few little things that you can do. Obviously, with Western Australia being such a big state, there's just endless amounts to explore. Plus, you can always jump on a plane and go over to one of the other cities like Gold Coast or Sydney or Melbourne within usually 3.5 to 4 hours if you want to do that and explore as well. And we're about 3.5 hours from Bali, Indonesia. So that's another big holiday spot. People often go to Bali just for the weekend or just to do some shopping from Perth. Now, on to where our campus is. So on this map, you can see the Central Business District just behind here. and that's about 10 minutes by car or 15 minutes by cycling to the campus. And you can actually travel right along the river drive here. So it's probably one of the most scenic ways to get from the city into the campus is just by getting a scooter or getting on your bike and going right along the river path here. And you'll often spot dolphins and pelicans and really nice stuff on the way. So the campus is located on what we call Matilda Bay here. So really nice to be able to pop down to the river, sit under a tree and just chill out, between classes, or grab a coffee and go for a walk along the river. It's a very, very picturesque campus. It's often voted one of the most picturesque in Australia, and you will definitely see why if you make it over to Perth. We have, I think, 7 libraries now and 9 cafes on the campus. We've got a supermarket, we've got a little student guild area with like a pharmacy, doctor's surgery, optometrist, all of the little things you might need. It's kind of like a little village that you can utilize while you're there. We also have residential colleges, which you can see just here. We've got 5 of them. They're all in a row just on the campus here. So if you want to live on the campus, it's entirely possible. And those are really great facilities, and that obviously allows you just to sort of roll out of bed and come to classes in the morning without having to worry about any kind of transport issues or being late for class, hopefully. We are a top 100 ranked university. So in the QS rankings, we're number 90 in the world. So we do have a very strong quality international reputation. 5 stars for our teaching, as per the Good Universities Guide last year. And we have 2 Nobel laureates who are still on our teaching staff in the medical school as well. So just one example of the quality of teaching that you will receive is very outstanding. We have more than 4,500 global industry partnerships. And we refer to those partnerships in terms of making sure our curriculum is up to date and that you are being taught the best possible skills to make you employable in your field. It also means that we can offer lots of great opportunities for work placements and internships with our partners as well. We are number 2 in Australia for graduate employability. Now, this is a really important one because obviously after you've completed your degree, you want to get out there and work. And we're sitting just behind the University of Melbourne in terms of our graduates getting employability. We are also a part of the Group of 8, which is the 8 most research-intensive and prestigious universities in Australia. So that does mean that research plays a big part in all of our degrees. We want to teach you those basic skills. And we also obviously have opportunities for things like research degrees, PhDs, etc. We are what we call a comprehensive university. So we offer a whole range of different fields, which you can see listed out here. And we are particularly strong in a few areas that I'll just point out. So things like agricultural, environmental, biological sciences. We're number 1 in Australia for many of those types of courses. We are in a biodiversity hotspot in Perth, Western Australia, one of about, I think, 66 in the world. So it's a really great place to study anything relating to flora and fauna, ecology, zoology, biology. The business and commerce degrees are very strong, and we have one of the best MBAs in the Southern Hemisphere or Oceania region. We have some fantastic health and medical courses, including dentistry and clinical medicine. And we have a well-recognised Juris Doctor law program as well. So a few different areas, but we can probably find a course that's related to whatever subject you're interested in, because we do offer a lot. The types of courses we have undergraduate. We also have pathways to undergraduate. So if you're actually at a college or high school and don't quite meet entry directly, we do have like a foundation year or a diploma year you can do. We have graduate medicine, dentistry and law, and we have school leaver programs for medicine, dentistry and law. We have 4-year combined bachelor master's programs. So this is great for high school students who might be interested in doing both a bachelor and master's program. If you're getting good results in high school, you can actually apply for one of these and come out with a bachelor and master's within 4 years. So it's an accelerated learning program. We have a number of postgraduate coursework degrees, and as I mentioned, lots of research and PhD opportunities as well. This is just a picture of the campus from the front. So you can see the reflection pool, which is the sort of water area beyond the Winthrop Hall, and then you can see the river there in the background. We're also offering some great scholarships for North American students right now. So if you're an undergraduate student looking to take on postgraduate study in Australia, or if you're a high school student looking to take on your first undergraduate or bachelor degree in Australia, we're going to be able to offer you a fee discount depending on your final results. So just as an example, if you are a high school student doing the BC Cert of Education right now, and you get an average mark of 80 in your final results, we would automatically deduct $10,000 Australian per year for the duration of your course. So that might be $40,000 over a 4-year combined bachelor masters, just as an example. For postgraduate courses, we look at your final marks as well in terms of your GPA or your WAM, and then we can offer you the tuition fee discount accordingly. These are automatic. Once you make an application, we will assess you for your scholarship amount and we will let you know on your offer letter. So you don't need to send anything separately. These scholarships are open for about 98% of our courses, undergraduate and postgraduate. The only real exclusions are ones where we have a very strict quota. So for things like medicine or dentistry, where we can only take a limited amount of students, the scholarships don't apply. But any other courses, they are eligible. And we also accept US FAFSA payments if that's applicable to you as well. I did touch on this briefly, but just to give you a little bit more detail for any students that are looking to not just study in Australia, but also continue to work after they've completed their course, this is definitely a possibility. And we are located in Perth, which means by the Australian government standards, we're considered a regional city. It's not regional in terms of population. We're not rural. It's just because of our location being sort of isolated on the west coast from the main east coast. But that does mean that you get 1 extra year of working visa. So if you're doing a bachelor's degree in Australia, in the other cities you would get 4 years, but in Perth you would be eligible to stay and work for 5 years. If you're doing a master's degree, instead of 5 years, you can stay for 6 years. And in Perth for a PhD candidate, you can stay and work for 7 years. So that's really great for students who want to pay back a bit of their loan or just get that international experience. Jobs are really plentiful right now. We actually have a major shortage in a lot of areas. And because of that, we've introduced these post-study work visas. And also because of that, you'll find that the starting salaries are very, very competitive in Perth for a lot of areas. If you want to work whilst you're studying, that's completely fine. It doesn't have to be confined to the university. You can work on or off campus in whatever field you like for up to 20 hours a week during semester and full-time during semester breaks. And it's very easy to get jobs right now. We can help you get jobs through our career centre. And there's an abundance right now with lots of places having staff shortages. You can expect as a casual worker to be getting the minimum wage of 25 Australian dollars 89 an hour, which is approximately 17 US dollars an hour. So Australian and Canadian dollars are pretty similar at the moment, so you can roughly take that 1 for 1, maybe with a bit of variation. If anyone's interested in joining sports leagues, whether that's for socially or whether you're into competitive sports, you can absolutely do that. We've got hundreds of sporting clubs depending on what you're interested in. And you can also try some stuff which might be a bit more unique to Perth. So things like surfing and things like that we do, stand-up paddleboarding, that kind of stuff, as well as sort of your usual things. We also have a lot of other different clubs and societies that you can join. So depending on what you're studying, you might join Engineers Without Borders or the Economic Society, or might be something that you're interested in, like Electronic Music Society or the Harry Potter Appreciation Society. We have 160 different clubs. If you don't have a club for a particular area that you're interested in, just grab 9 friends and you can create a club for yourself. So we do really encourage students to take part as much as they can in the extracurriculars and also take part in volunteering. So university is all about giving back to the community, and we really like our students to get involved in that as well. College Row is our accommodation options, which I mentioned are just across the way from the university. So we have 5 residential colleges, each of them having a bit of a different vibe and atmosphere. They are all inclusive. So the price that you see, which I think the cheapest is about $270 from the top of my head for the college, that would give you your room, your own bathroom, your meals, your room cleaned, which is better than most students probably get right now at home, and also provides all of your bills paid and your internet and everything like that. So the cost is indicative of all of the facilities that's included. And there's also lots of inter-college sports and activities, a really strong network, and it's a really great way to transition into life in Australia. Like I said, we're only sort of 10 to 15 minutes from the city centre. So if you did want to live in the city centre, you also can do that as well. All right, I've tried to keep it brief and just give you the real overview about the university, but I will be in the UWA booth for the next few hours. So please do come in and have a chat with me if you've got something that you want to ask about Perth or the university, and I'd be more than happy to help you with that. So thank you for listening.
Thanks very much, Ruth. Really appreciate it. We do have some time to take some questions if you're interested. We've got quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I'll just, I can call them out to you unless you'd prefer to just go from the screen.
I can go from the screen. That's completely
Please
fine.
do.
The first question coming through, do you offer financial assistance to international students? Yes, we do. And that was what I was talking about with the scholarships that we offer. So the financial assistance is in terms of a tuition fee discount, which would be based on your GPA or your high school mark. So that's how those work. The other financial assistance that you might get from your home country, so for example, FAFSA, if you're in the USA, we will accept that. And we do accept other government-sponsored schemes as well. But in terms of what UWA would offer you, it would be the Global Excellence Scholarships, or we can provide a discount sometimes for certain sponsor bodies. So come and talk to me more specifically about where you're from and what financial assistance that you're requiring. All right, the range of student assistance available to international medical, dental, eye insurance as well. So as an international student, you actually need to take out overseas health cover as part of your visa. So that would be the level of health cover that you are required to get to enter Australia. And that does cover things like your basic medical costs. So it won't cost you to go to the doctor, for example, or the psychologist when you come to Australia. And you will have some additional provisions as well. So probably things like eye exams if you need it. I'm not sure about the details about things like whether dental's included. But what I would say is you do get sort of provided the opportunity for a standard overseas health cover. If there are additional extras that you want included, I'm sure that you could kind of upgrade your cover at the point that you're accepting and enrolling to make sure that you're covered for everything that you need. Okay, so someone's saying, tell me about engineering. So we offer a Master of Professional Engineering for postgraduate, and we offer a Bachelor of Engineering honours for undergraduates. We have 7 different fields of engineering. So just off the top of my head, chemical, civil, environmental, biomedical, mechanical. No, I'm missing a couple here, but you get the gist. We offer quite a few streams. We are number 2 in Australia for mining engineering, and we're in the top 50 for civil engineering. So those are probably the really 2 strong points, but we do offer a range. Quite a lot of questions coming here. Can I apply from high school, and how do we apply? You can absolutely apply from high school. So we'd be looking at either your provincial or state Canadian high school certificate and mark, or we'd be looking for something like your US SATs or APs. So we do need to have a basis of entry, but if you're doing something that doesn't quite lead into entering directly, then we can look at the foundation year that I talked about as well, which is like a bridging gap between high school if you need it. Masters of Social Work we offer. The really great thing about the Masters of Social Work for us is that you don't need to have a relevant cognate sort of social sciences or humanities background. So we can actually accept students from any degree discipline areas. So we've got students that have done business, that have done education, sciences in the past that are happy to come on and do the Masters of Social Work. So we would treat every applicant the same for that. We just need you to have your degree with a certain GPA, and we also have a limited amount of places for social work. So it is a bit more competitive than some of the other courses. All right, how big are the classes on average, and are there opportunities for study abroad? Okay, the classes will depend on the area that you're studying. The biggest areas that we have are things like business and commerce degrees and engineering degrees. So they would have the largest class sizes. When we get down to sort of more niche areas, for one example, architecture or design, the class sizes are really quite small. And in some of the sciences, we've got some of the best staff to student ratios in Australia. So a really good balance of being able to communicate well with your tutors and also take part in the larger lectures. We do pride ourselves on our student experience, and the staff to student ratio is all part of that. We also have agreements with a number of different partners overseas that you can utilize for a study abroad experience. So if you're doing study at UWA as like a full degree student, and then you want to study an exchange, you can do that. So be at UWA and then go overseas to a different country for a semester or 2. Alternatively, if you're in your home country and you want to come to UWA just for 1 or 2 semesters, we do have exchange agreements as well with a number of different universities. So you can hop online to our website or come and talk to me after the fair, and I can talk to you specifically about the institution that you're currently from. So what's the deadline to apply? We don't have set deadlines for most of our courses. We have deadlines for things like medicine and dentistry, because we do need to get the offers out and do undertake other testing for our students. But for general courses, we just ask that you apply in plenty of time to get your offer, to accept, and then to apply and receive your visa. So depending on the country of your citizenship, sometimes it takes a bit longer than other times to apply for your visa. A pretty good rule of thumb is, if you can, to try and apply at least 4 months ahead of time to allow you plenty of time. In saying that, we're still accepting applications now for our next intake, which is February. So it just really depends on your visa and how long that takes. Generally speaking, you can do some units online if you don't get your visa in time, but we're moving away from online study and back to on-campus study. So there's going to be less and less opportunities to take online classes with us going forward. All right. Is the spider situation really like? I'm the biggest arachnophobe you will ever meet. And actually moving from England 10 years ago to Australia, that was probably my biggest fear. And I actually thought the spiders would like jump out of the walls and jump out of trees and try and hunt me down. And I can say that I've probably seen about 4 what I would class as like scary spiders in my whole time that I've been here, and they have not been anywhere near my house. It's been out when I've actively been bushwalking. You do get huntsman spiders, which are probably like this big. This is making it look really big. It's probably like, I don't know, 10 centimeters. They're totally harmless. It's actually the smaller ones you need to worry about, but you really don't get them in urban areas. Please don't let that put you off. It's a good question though. The average admission rate for the business programs, in terms of what we require to get into the programs, most of the time it's about a 60 or 65% UWA weighted average mark, or WAM as we call it. But depending on the country that you're coming from, it doesn't always equal like for like. So if we ask for 60%, it might actually be like 62% or 55% or something like that, depending on the institution that you're from. So you'd actually need to look specifically. I'd need to know a bit more about where you're coming from to answer that, and also a little bit more about the course. But if you're averaging about 60%, then that would be okay for most of the courses that we have in the business school. All right, let me just see if I've got any other questions. How diverse is the engineering field? I think I answered that. We have got 7 or 8 different streams of engineering. Healthcare related courses that we offer. We don't have nursing, so that is one I get asked about, but unfortunately we don't have nursing. We also don't have physio. We do have some sports and exercise science courses. We do have public health, medicine, infectious diseases, biotechnology, a few areas like that. So definitely a really strong health focus. We have a separate health campus, which is just 10 minutes walk from our regular campus, and which is in a precinct with a few hospitals and some allied health professionals as well. What is the tuition fee, including cost of living? Great question. So tuition fee varies from something like architecture or design, which is probably at the lower end of the spectrum, about 36,000 Australian dollars per year, right up to about, I think, $77,000 a year for something like medicine or dentistry. But most of the courses would be hovering around the $40,000 a year mark for things like engineering, business, arts, that type of thing. And like I said, when we can take off a good chunk of money with our tuition fee discounts, it can make it seem pretty reasonable. So for example, if you were to get a $10,000 scholarship on a $36,000 architecture course, that's nearly a third of your tuition fees that are paid for. On top of that, because the cost of living is a little bit lower and jobs are well paid and plentiful, most students do find that by working part-time, they can still lead a pretty active social life and the level and quality of life that they want as well. Because Australia, and Perth especially, has a really great outdoorsy climate, and so much stuff is free, you actually need less money than you think, because there's so many nice things to do which aren't going to cost you anything. And so many times you'll just want to go down to the beach or go down to Kings Park and access a free barbecue and just bring along like a soccer ball and just have a game, or just do lots of stuff that's free of charge as well. So hopefully that answers a bit more about your questions. In terms of the cost of accommodation, like I said, ranges if you're living on campus from about $270. If your budget is less than that, you can live in the city centre in like purpose-built accommodation options, which are less than $200 a week, but they don't include meals and things like that. I think I've answered about the creepy crawlies. Just to add to that, I've only also ever seen one snake while I've been in Australia in 10 years. So again, they're not really just hanging out in trees waiting to attack us, as far as I've come across so far. How do we promote networking amongst students? So in terms of networking for jobs, I'm assuming that you're meaning networking with employers. We do have networking fairs where we will invite our partners. So for example, we might have business networking lunch where we would get our students to meet with potential employers and, you know, talk about job opportunities and get the students a chance to be able to get across the line their sort of profile, talk about any internships. We also have guest lecturers coming from industry. We have a lot of networking that's done via mentorships. So we have a professional mentor program where we set you up with someone who's experienced in their field, and you would meet with them and get professional networking mentoring advice. And networking amongst students, in case you mean in terms of like social life and making sure our students are involved, that all comes down to our student guild, who run the student clubs and the volunteering areas. And you'll also find a lot of the networking happens within the UWA residential colleges, which is another reason why those are a really great choice as well for your living accommodation. Okay, any dorms available and how much do they cost? I think I've covered off the cost of living in our colleges. We don't really have dorms as such, as in like multiple beds in a room. In our residential colleges, you would absolutely have your own bedroom and most of the time your own bathroom. So it's a bit less like North America in that respect, but our city centre housing does have dorms. That is obviously the cheapest option. I think the maximum we have is 4 to 6 beds in a dorm, but they're all like sort of got private dividers, and it's actually very, very well constructed. But those dorm situations are only at the city centre accommodation, not in our residential colleges. Do we have a nursing program? Unfortunately, we don't have nursing. That's one of the few things that we don't offer. Okay, I'm pretty sure that that's the end of the questions. I'll just give it another minute in case any more come through. Otherwise, like I said, happy to have you come to the booth and answer any more questions. What's my favorite amenity the university offers? Okay, for me, my favorite amenity, aside from the 7 cafes that we have on campus, because I always need a coffee fix, I really like our sleeping pods in the library because it's somewhere you can go have a really nice view over the park and just have a little cheeky nap if you need to. All of the facilities like that are open 24 hours as well. So it just makes it really comfortable, because we do know that students are working as well as studying, and you do need to be kind of on hand and available at all times of the day. So I think that's really good. We also offer 24-hour student support for students who want feedback on assignments. If you're doing that really late at night, you can actually check in with someone out of hours to get someone to look over and help you out with anything like that. So that's probably a couple of my favorite amenities that spring to mind. Okay, I guess we can finish up now, Logan, if that's all the questions.
I think so, yeah, for the most part. And we are pretty much out of time also. I would encourage anyone who does have questions or, other particular queries, comments for Ruth, please join her at the booth. Ruth, any parting words for us?
Just to say, I hope you enjoy the rest of your fair, and really do appreciate you coming along to listen to a bit more about UWA. What I find and what I hear constantly from students is when they do come to Perth, they always say, wow, I did not even know about this place. And it's really great to see that experience, because I think that we're not particularly well known. People think of Australia, they think of Melbourne and Sydney. So we're really offering something unique and a little bit hidden. And I don't think you'll be disappointed if you do make your choice to come to Perth. And if you do, drop me a line and let me know. It would be great to hear from you.
Thanks so much for the presentation, Ruth. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. See you later, guys.